year. So whether we like it or not, we have a great stock market. We have a very, very powerful country. We have our country militarily, as you know, presidents. We have just received $700 billion. Our military will be stronger than ever before, but we have to do something on trade with certain countries. And obviously, China is the leader in terms of deficits. We've never had a situation where a country, and nor has there ever been in history a situation where a country has done that to another country. We've helped rebuild China over the last 25 years. If you take a look at what's happened, we have helped rebuild China. So we intend to get along with China, but we have to do something very substantial about the trade deficit. And with that, nothing is easy. I campaigned on that. I talked about that. China won't be the only country, but I did, in fact, campaign on it. Mexico, if you look at the caravan of thousands of people coming across, I told Mexico, look, you have a cash cow in NAFTA. NAFTA has been great for Mexico, has not been good for the United States. A lot of businesses have closed down because of NAFTA. You look at empty plants all over the place, and this is from years ago. They still haven't recovered. NAFTA has been a terrible deal for the United States. We're renegotiating the deal right now, but it'll still be good for Mexico and for Canada. And when this caravan came in, and this is a caravan of a lot of people coming in this case from Honduras, if it reaches our border, our laws are so weak and so pathetic, you would not understand this, because I know how strong your laws are at the border. It's like we have no border, because we had Obama make changes. President Obama made changes that basically created no border. It's called catch and release. You catch them, you register them, they go into our country. We can't throw them out. And in many cases, they shouldn't be here. Many, many cases, they shouldn't be here. And after they get whatever happens over the next 2 or 3 years, they're supposed to come back to court. Almost nobody comes back to court. They're in our country. And we can't do anything about it because the laws that were created by Democrats are so pathetic and so weak. So I told Mexico, and I respect what they did, I said, look, your laws are very powerful. Your laws are very strong. We have very bad laws for our border. And we are going to be doing some things. I've been speaking with General Mattis. We're going to be doing things militarily. Until we can have a wall and proper security, we're going to be guarding our border with the military. That's a big step. We really haven't done that before, or certainly not very much before. But we will be doing things with Mexico, and they have to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do the NAFTA deal. NAFTA's been fantastic for Mexico, bad for us. We've had our car plants move to Mexico, many of them. We make tremendous numbers, millions of cars in Mexico that years ago didn't exist. They closed in Michigan, they closed in Ohio, they closed in other places. Now they're starting to move back because of what we've done with regulation and with taxes. They're starting to come back into our country in a big way. But I told Mexico very strongly, you're going to have to do something about these caravans that are coming up. And I just noticed that the caravan now, which is toward the middle of Mexico, coming up from Honduras, is breaking up very rapidly. That's because Mexico has very strong immigration laws, as we should have. We should have those laws. We don't have. We have immigration laws that are laughed at by everybody. And it's got to be changed. We need the wall, we need the protection, and we have to change our immigration laws at the border and elsewhere. So Mexico has, at this moment, it seems they've broken up large numbers of that particular caravan, and we'll see what happens. But we're prepared at our border. We cannot have people flowing into our country illegally, disappearing, and by the way, never showing up to court. So the court case will be set for 2 years or 3 years, if you can believe this, and they never show up. For the most part, very rarely do they show up. Plus, if you notice, they're trying to hire thousands of judges. So every person that walks across, and they're taught to say the right thing, they walk across, and then they go, and they're supposed to go to court. So we're supposed to have thousands of judges because we cannot have them taken out. We have to bring them before a ridiculous court system. We have to change our policies fast. just like we have to change on sanctuary cities. If you look at what's happening in California, they're having revolts out there because there are a lot of areas, Orange County and others, they don't want to have sanctuary cities, which are guarding criminals. So a lot of things are changing, but I've just heard that the caravan coming up from Honduras is broken up, and Mexico did that. And they did it because, frankly, I said, you really have to do it. We're going to have a relationship on NAFTA. We're going to have to include security in NAFTA. So Mexico, very strong laws, and that's the way it is. So it looks like it's been broken up. So that'll be good. Okay, thank you all very much.
Is Scott Pruitt staying, sir?
This way. Thanks, Peter.
No, the caravan doesn't irritate me. The caravan makes me very sad that this can happen to the United States, where you have thousands of people that decide to just walk into our country, and we don't have any laws that can protect it. And the wall, because of the Democrats, has been delayed. We've started the wall, just so you understand. We have $1.6 billion. We're fixing and building brand new walls in certain areas. And we're doing a lot of work on walls. We have $1.6 billion, and we're starting brand new sections of walls. But we need to have a wall that's about 800 miles, 700 to 800 miles of the 2,000-mile stretch. We have a lot of natural boundaries. But it's very sad to see it. And it's sad even from both sides. It's sad for the people in the caravan, and it's sad for the people of the United States. It's really sad that we don't have laws that say we have a border, and if you don't do it legally, you can't come into the United States. To me, that's a very sad thing for the people of the United States. Thank you all very much.
Is Scott Pruitt staying? Scott Pruitt, sir?
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thanks, everyone. Please exit. Thank you all.
We'll be very good. I have great respect for the Baltic states. Tremendous people, tremendous leaders who I've known now for a pretty long period of time. No, we have great respect for the Baltic states. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Peter.
Scott Pruitt, sir? You support Scott Pruitt, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Market
We
volatility?
want to be able, if possible, and this is speaking with the Baltic states, ideally we want to be able to get along with Russia. Getting along with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. Now, maybe we will and maybe we won't. And probably nobody's been tougher to Russia than Donald Trump. If you take a look at our military strength now, which would not have happened had the opponent won. If you take a look at the oil and gas that we're producing now, we're independent. We're now exporting oil and gas. This is not something that Russia wanted. If you, the three presidents just told me that NATO has taken in a tremendous amount of money because of Donald Trump. That would have never happened. So NATO is much stronger. You may want to say that. Would you like to say that, Madam President?
Yes,
Please.
We talked already in the 5 minutes ago that for us important the presence and impetus of the United States in NATO. We expect together with the United States to go ahead with deep reforms of NATO, especially on decision making, on decisiveness, on the denial, access denial, which we expect to see from Russia in case of aggression. Without the United States, this is not possible. About 80% of spending is coming to the NATO from the United States, and why the vital voice and the vital leadership of the United States for the reforms is important. We are behind and with you. I think that the best allies you have in Europe and NATO is Baltic states today. And we also doing our homework. We're modernizing armies. We're spending already 2%. And together, I think we can do a lot. And I'm very much looking forward to see everybody around the table in Brussels and going ahead with a better NATO, more resultative NATO, and more efficient NATO.
And has Donald Trump made a difference on NATO?
As I said,
This is a very risky question, but I think if she says the same thing that she said in the Oval Office,
I
it'll be...
can repeat that it is very good pressure to all of us, all members of NATO, is perfect pressure to all political elite who thinks that somebody else needs to protect but not themselves. So the first you do homework, and then you ask for your partner to come with you. And that's exactly what you did. And this kind of leadership is good. We're using it also. I'm open. We're using it to influence the opinions in our countries that the first we need to invest ourselves, and only then the partners can come with us.
And again, NATO has taken in billions of dollars more because of me, because I said, you're delinquent, you're not paying to many of the countries. Is that right? Many of the countries weren't paying. And even now, Germany is paying 1%, and they're not even paying the full 1%. Germany hooks up a pipeline into Russia where Germany's going to be paying billions of dollars for energy into Russia. And I'm saying, what's going on with that? How come Germany is paying vast amounts of money to Russia when they hook up a pipeline? That's not right. So you look at what's going on. Now, so Germany pays 1%. The United States is paying close to 4%. The United States, as you said, is paying 80% of the cost of NATO. Do you think that's fair? With all of that being said, because of me, and you can speak to the head of NATO, Mr. Stoltenberg, he said that because of what I've said to the countries, they've taken in general, I think you'll confirm this too, many billions of dollars more than they would have had if you had crooked Hillary Clinton as president, okay? That I can tell you. Many billions of dollars more. So, you know, we've been very tough on that. We've been very tough on Russia, frankly. But I will say that if we got along with Russia, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing. It's possible we won't. We're going to find out whether or not we do. But if we could all get along, that would be great. And that includes China, and that includes many other countries. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. But nobody has been tougher on Russia. But getting along with Russia would be a good thing, not a bad thing. And just about everybody agrees to that, except very stupid people. Okay?
How do you see Vladimir Putin? Is he a friend or a foe?
We'll find out. I'll let you know. I mean, it'll be a time when I'll let you know. You're going to find out very quickly. See what happens.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you. I have a great respect for the Baltics. I have great respect for my friends. I've known them now for right from the beginning of my presidency. These are great, courageous people and have done a fantastic job for their countries. So I have great respect for you and for your nations.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Is it Amazon or the Washington Post, sir? What's Amazon done that bugs you,
Thanks,
sir?
everyone.
Well, you take a look at the post office. You take a look at the post office, and the post office is losing billions of dollars, and the taxpayers are paying for that money because it delivers packages for Amazon at a very below cost. And that's not fair to the United States. It's not fair to our taxpayers. And Amazon has the money to pay the fair rate at the post office, which would be much more than they're paying right now. The other thing is a lot of retail businesses all over the country are going out of business, so that's a different problem. And it's a big problem. You have retailers all over the United States are going out of business. You look at some of these small towns where they had a beautiful Main Street with stores, the stores are all gone. So that's a different problem that we're going to have to talk about. But if you look at the cost that we're subsidizing, we're giving a subsidy to Amazon, and we're talking about billions of dollars a year, the real cost. And a report just came out. They said $1.47, I believe, or about that, for every time they deliver a package, the United States government, meaning the post office, loses $1.47. So Amazon is going to have to pay much more money to the post office. There's no doubt about that. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Scott Pruitt, sir? Do you support Scott Pruitt?
I hope he's going to be great.
I hope he's going to be great.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Time to go. Let's go, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
There go press conference with Baltic leaders. We're going to hear more from the president in about half hour. Touched on quite a few issues, including Russia, China, even Germany, immigration, Amazon, and Scott Pruitt. Congressman, what do you take away from that interesting exchange?
It was very interesting. First, I want to say that him being with the Baltic leaders is important to show that we're standing in solidarity with those folks to counter Russia. And I think what he brought out about Germany was very, very good, because he's right. They're connecting there and paying billions of dollars to Russia with energy and not paying what they're supposed to be paying for NATO. That's a great point, and he brought it out like only the president can.
Yeah, and this is one of those areas where the president takes a non-traditional view of something that many people have internalized and taken for granted for a long time, and that obviously is NATO spending. But he also touched on immigration.
Look, he touched on a lot of things, and I think we always sort of get a kick out of watching these because he has almost a kind of stream of consciousness with some of the areas that he's getting into.
Yeah, you never know where he's going to go.
But the NATO stuff is good, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, they have gotten away for far too long with not paying their quote-unquote fair share, and it's time that we change that. And they are better off for doing so. They have more skin in the game, so to speak, and they need to carry their weight. So I think that those developments have been very helpful. I think as far as the Baltic states go, they need some support from us, and I think he's willing to give that alongside NATO, and so that's encouraging for them. But lots of other things. I mean, even Amazon, as you said, we got into Amazon, and he criticized Amazon for getting a discounted rate at the U.S. Postal Service. I mean, the U.S. Postal Service is just kind of a mess, as you know.
Well, it is a mess. I mean, it's absolutely a mess, regardless of if Amazon didn't exist. The post office would still very much be in the red. It's a poorly functioning branch of the government, and perhaps it's time to privatize and not just penalize one company.
Well, actually, my takeaway from this and what I was thinking this entire time, because we had just gotten done talking about the media, and there's constantly attacks on President Trump and, you know, the First Amendment, freedom of press with this administration. And look what he just did there. I mean, he sort of gives this unprecedented access to him, and just always opening these sorts of meetings up to questions from the media, opening just these, you know, typically private meetings sometimes open up to the media, allowing them to be there during the entire thing, not specifically with this, but what he did on immigration and other meetings like that. So, you know, that was just kind of top of mind.
And if you remember, President Obama would go on for 4 or 5 minutes per question.
This president, like, if there's anything, this president is authentic, right? And the way that he talks like everyday Americans talk, and they can see that. And a lot of politicians, when they talk, when you're watching them, either consciously or subconsciously, you're like,
they're so careful.
They're carefully trying to tread. This president doesn't do that. You know where he stands at all times. You know?
Even if it changes along the way.
Even
you know in that moment of time how he really feels.
Yeah, that's true. And also with some of those meetings that we've seen with members of Congress, he can be swayed in the moment, or at least appears to be swayed in the moment, but then comes back, internalizes all the information, and essentially said what...
I see that as a sign of intelligence, so I will tell you. I think it's very important to be able to understand all sides, to have empathy for different sides, and the fact that he's willing to listen and say, okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Listen and be challenged.
Exactly. And maybe you come back to exactly where you started, but it's so important for us to be willing to hear all sides. And too many people in this country, and you well know in Washington, don't do it, won't do it, and only see their way.
It's so different. Is it working?
Well, yeah, I think that this is effective. I mean, I think this is in part why he was elected, because he had a different communication style. As I mentioned throughout the show, he messages so differently than your average Republican, and he does what Democrats do, but he does it better.
All right, thanks so much to Congressman Scott Taylor. We covered a lot of ground. Listen to that big press conference. Great to see you today.
Great to see all of you. Thanks for having me, as always, and I don't mind being outnumbered.
I'm going to see you again, right? 2 o'clock.
We will be
You're
back.
committed.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. 2 o'clock.
At noon Eastern tomorrow. Let's go to Harris Faulkner for more of what's coming up.
Thank you, Kennedy. Fox News alert. We are awaiting a joint news conference with the president. Busy man this hour, and leaders of the Baltic states expected to begin later this hour. So we heard from him as they were getting ready to have that working lunch. And then the joint news conference is coming up. The president could face questions, as you might imagine, on a range of topics, from immigration to recent staff shakeups and the Russia investigation. We'll bring it to you live with President Trump at the White House when it happens. And then this is breaking. The president is hardening his stance on illegal immigration. He's calling on Congress to revamp our, quote, ridiculous immigration laws, as he calls them. Let's go outnumbered overtime. I'm Harris Faulkner. In an effort to speed up deportations of people here illegally, the Trump Justice Department is set to impose quotas on federal immigration judges. They will now be expected to clear at least 700 cases per year, something critics warn would undermine the independence of the judiciary. The DOJ says it's the best way to increase efficiency and clear a huge backlog of cases. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton welcomes the change.
The system as it is not working. offering up a new idea. Let's try it. Let's see if it works. I don't see a problem with trying this.
Can it be done? 3 a day doesn't seem like a lot, but perhaps it is. I don't know.
It doesn't seem like it's a major change. You're talking about 678 cases now on average, up to 700 over a course of a year. If you do that with several hundred judges, you potentially get rid of your backlog. I like it.
Chief White House correspondent John Roberts joins us now from the North Lawn. Boy, the president is busy today.
He is, and we'll get to the new director from the Department of Justice in a second. But Harris, first of all, the headline out of that lunch meeting that the president had with the leaders of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia is that after leaning heavily on Mexico to do something about this caravan that has been heading through Mexico, it's a caravan of Central American migrants heading for the U.S. border. The president does seem to have gotten some action out of Mexico. Listen to what he said just a short time ago.
I just noticed that the caravan now, which is toward the middle of Mexico, coming up from Honduras, is breaking up very rapidly. That's because Mexico has very strong immigration laws, as we should have. We should have those laws. We don't have. We have immigration laws that are laughed at by everybody.